Okay, we're going to get started and Sarah's going to join us in just a second. So we're just going to change the order and have Sarah go last. Does that work for everybody? Awesome. Okay, so we are going to get started. Chris has the slide up. So let me just make it so I can see everybody. Great. Okay. So thank you all for coming to this plenary, Expanding Reuse Systems. We're happy for all of you to be here at the National Zero Waste Conference. My name is Amanda Waddell. I'm your moderator today. I'm a Zero Waste Associate, Educator, and Consultant, and one of the conference coordinators. I'm also the co-chair of Zero Waste Gainesville and Director of Zero Waste at Repurpose Project. And I am really excited to moderate this session. We have three great speakers. Our third speaker, Sarah, is on her way, but we have Heather Trim, Sarah Goff, and Diane Cohen. I'm going to do brief introductions of the three, and then we will go with Heather first, Diane, and then Sarah will present last. So Heather Trim is Executive Director of Zero Waste Washington in Seattle, Washington. At Zero Waste Washington, her focus has been on reducing upstream sources of waste and addressing downstream impacts, getting toxic chemicals out of products, eliminating plastic pollution, and building on the organization's signature producer responsibility policy initiatives. Diane Cohen is Executive Director of Finger Lakes Reuse in Ithaca, New York. Finger Lakes Reuse was founded in 2007 to help to reduce waste and recognize and reinvest this value back into the community. Diane is passionate about demonstrating and maximizing the triple bottom line, social, environmental, and economic benefits of reuse and helping to build momentum in the circular economy. Sarah Goff is co-founder and executive director of the Repurpose Project in Gainesville, Florida. The Repurpose Project is dedicated to diverting useful resources from the landfill, redirecting these items to public for art and education, and inspiring creativity. Sarah is dedicated to building a local, large-scale reuse economy and bringing the concept of expanded reuse infrastructure to the mainstream climate change solutions conversation. All right, Heather, you can go ahead and share your screen as soon as Chris takes down this slide. That's great. You can go ahead, Heather. Thank you.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can. And after about 10 minutes, I'll just ask you to wrap it up.
Yeah, give me that warning. That'd be great. Okay,
yes,
so good afternoon, good morning, everyone from the West Coast and other days of time of the day elsewhere. I'm Heather Trim. I'm Executive Director of Zero Waste Washington. And briefly, who we are a statewide nonprofit. We're working to make trash obsolete through helping get laws passed, conducting research, and doing pilot projects. And we have 7 focus areas. I'm not going to read them off here, but you can see where we work. I'm talking today about durable items that we are trying to reuse, rent, or repair. And this is, we're terming this the repair economy in Washington. And as you all know, and this is just from the other day, so much media attention on the sort of issue of consumerism. And one of the challenges we have is that in the way the greenhouse gas analysis emissions models have been done, they really haven't done a very good job of looking at consumer items. This was released by a guy who worked at EPA, but when he left EPA, he then created this pie chart that reflects the greenhouse gas emissions of products and packaging, looking at the global manufacturer, the full life cycle of them. And that had not been in the previous report. So he kind of used some additional information and create a more fuller picture. And Seattle is in King County. King County is doing a really terrific climate action plan right now. And they had a public meeting on this about a month ago. And they do want to do consumer goods, but when in the breakout session, I said, so what are y'all doing about consumer goods? They did not have a great answer. This is a very, very tough thing to figure out, but it's something we've got to figure out. It is critically important. So in Washington State, we have 16 existing tool libraries. We have 20 repair and fix-it organizations doing events all over the state. And we have 25 maker spaces. So we consider these kind of core to our repair economy here. And what we're doing as an organization is helping provide a little bit of a backbone support to that system. So creating fix-it guides, we've created a listserv for people to connect. We even developed a COVID protocol for repair events. And we are doing once a year big convenings of everyone. You see some imagery here from the speakers from 2020, and our most recent summit was Saturday. So this is hot off the press of the speakers that we were doing a DEI panel in our summit that just happened on Saturday. So we're trying to basically bring people together and help support people and also have people trade tips and information. We ourselves are also doing fix-it fairs. And so here's just a few imagery from that. You all are probably very familiar with these. This is just some of the fairs that we did pre-COVID, may I point out in this case. And as part of this work, we've been doing focus groups to look at messaging. This is one that was with a Spanish language audience. Or no, this is not the Spanish language audience one. Anyway, we're doing focus groups to look at messaging, needs, logistics, like, what's the best time of day to do events, what best day of the week, things like that. And so that's all kind of a little bit of context. So what are we doing in terms of nurturing it as well? We have created a brand new map that is similar to the one that was done in Portland, so that a consumer can go to this website and say, I want to fix blank, like I want to fix my watch or something like that, and they can find locations around the state. And we've set this up with stories and other information because we're trying to encourage them, if they come and say, I want to fix my watch, they could also see other things that they hadn't thought that they could fix, And as part of this effort, we did some ads. So we did quite a bit of process over about a year, winnowing down what is the message that we need to get people, just your regular person on the street, to want to repair something. And we did in June, just now, a bunch of testing of these ads. So you can see two places where the ads were tested and online. And the idea was we're trying to get people to be intrigued by these imagery and the wording, and then to click and go through to the map and find where they could get things repaired. And here are the 4 key messages that we came down to. Repair local, it matters. This is after quite a bit of testing and whatnot. I can't even read the top one because my screen is covered here, but I believe that one is, if you care, repair, get more life out of what you love, and don't trash it, fix it. And I want you all to look at this for a moment before I tell you which one actually fared best in our Facebook and Google ads. And that was, in fact, repair local. That is the messaging that worked best. All of the messaging actually scored very well. It all scored over 1%, which is, you want to get at least over 1% for ads. So that we did well with all the ads, but it is interesting that the repair local is the messaging that worked best. Oops, now I can't advance. This always happens. Okay. We are also now partnering with a Spanish language station in Washington. They're going to be doing features on Fix-It and recruiting fixers and kind of helping do zero waste messaging around this issue of the repair economy. And another thing that we're doing, and this is, I think, mirroring what's going on across the US, is we've just started, and we've only had 1 meeting, so our second meeting is actually tomorrow, of a new work group in Washington State to try to encourage schools to shift from single-use to durables in their school cafeterias. And we happen to have a law that we just got passed that actually will help this along. We've banned styrofoam in the schools and also all the restaurants. That's going to be coming into effect in a couple of years. And we also have utensils, cup lids, condiment packs, and straws on request only. So those actually do include schools in that work. That's not the durable stuff. That's back to the single-use stuff. Okay, what are our next steps? I'm trying to get through a lot of stuff pretty quickly here. So we have a terrific waste characterization study that is done every 5 years by our state Department of Ecology. And in there, they have pulled out furniture as in this category here of the consumer products. And you can see that it's about 19,000 tons of furniture that is going to the landfill right now in Washington. This is just not okay. And I'm sure it's similar to other states. So we have now started doing, and we just are kicking this off, and they'll start in the spring. We're going to do Fix-It fairs and Fix-It activities that are for furniture that would otherwise go to the landfill. Because, you know, Goodwill rejects anything that's broken or heavily stained and things like that. So we're going to actually do this massive effort to repair things and then give them to, we're working with the Lutheran Family Services and other groups that are providing furniture for refugees and low-income families. And so it's not going to be just any old type of furniture. It's only going to be the furniture that they have on their existing list of things that they want. The other thing that we're launching right now is a huge report based on the Minnesota terrific report that was done a couple years ago, where they looked at the impact of the repair economy. So this is resale, rent, and repair and share. This is some figure from their report. We're going to be looking at the job impact. We're going to be looking at the environmental impact, and we're going to be looking at the community building impact of this repair economy in Washington, quantifying it so we can get to policy solutions and also see where there are gaps and what can be, you know, enhanced and nurtured. We're also going to be trialing in about a year a voucher program. They have one in Vienna and in other parts of Austria. And I heard the other day that Portland, Oregon is going to be trying this, and we have the funding to do this. So this is where we would give people vouchers to get things repaired, and then we would reimburse the repair shop for, say, 50% off a repair. And then our report is going to identify which area we're going to sort of do that focus in. Now, from a policy perspective, we have a big bill that we are teeing up for session, just got off a negotiating session this morning, which is a product stewardship bill for everything that goes in your recycle bin. So for packaging and printed products, that is not exactly reuse in the sense of this session we're talking about right now, but it does. We have a 10% target in there for reuse that will have to be done by the companies. The other thing is we have a right to repair bill that has a fighting chance in Washington. There's been a lot of negotiating going on this interim, this summer, and our session starts January 10. And separately, we're going to be introducing a bill, Representative Gregerson will be introducing a bill on a repairability index, which is like what they have in France, so that like Energy Star, next to your item that you want to buy, it'll be a score of 1 to 10 about how repairable that item is. And I have a future and a question mark there, because we do think there is a lot of room for policy to help push this whole reuse, repair, and whole economy forward. So in sum, we have a lot of activities going on. Happy to answer questions in the Q&A, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Heather. That was great. Thank you so much. Diane, you want to pull up your slides?
That was fabulous, Heather. Thank you. There we go. Is it there?
Yep, looks great.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. And I'm really honored to be part of this panel today with Sarah and Heather. For the last 20 years, I've had the unique opportunity to focus specifically on reuse and its impacts at the community level. I started my career in January 2001, managing a small architectural salvage program. I've come to believe that there should and can be easy and affordable way to reuse in every community beyond traditional thrift. Reuse should become a leading public engagement strategy to both trumpet and support the causes around zero waste. And I hope this presentation will help illustrate and inspire more thinking about prioritizing reuse. Okay, advance. Good. So we all know we need new systems and a new way of thinking. But we are ill-equipped to manage the volumes of valuable reusable materials that are disposed of in our communities. The infrastructure for reuse and repair is not nearly comprehensive enough, but it's not that complicated to make. And just a note, when I say reuse in this presentation, I'm including repair as well, since repair and maintenance are essential activities to support more reuse. Reuse has immediate, powerful, multiplying benefits far beyond waste reduction, and that's what I want to address today. So I'm the director of a 501c3 nonprofit organization called Finger Lakes Reuse. Our mission is to enhance community, economy, and environment through reuse. And our goals are kind of a tangible complement to our mission to reduce waste, relieve poverty, and teach job skills through reuse activities. And our vision is of a just, resilient, and waste-free world that values people and resources. So, I think there is a paradigm shift happening And it's happening in our collective consciousness, and that's where the seeds of change must begin. We're operating 2 community reuse centers with 80 employees about 6 miles apart. And this year to win Best Department Store, when in years past we've won Best Thrift Store for the last 3 years in a row from a different publication. It's just an interesting indicator that the public's understanding of used materials has shifted and what we're doing on the local level. The emergence of, oops, I'm sorry, I'm lost a little bit. Okay, so we acknowledge that we're located in the territory of the Cayuga Nation, which is part of the Great Iroquois Nation, and our work is aligned with Native Americans' historic value and stewardship of land, water, and living things. Where we're located straddles 2 watersheds, and our 2 reuse centers are inside and just outside the city of Ithaca in upstate New York. We're a small city in rural Tompkins County, also home of 3 educational institutions, including Cornell University. And we're surrounded by rural counties that are even smaller than Tompkins County. The emergence and growing popularity of the concept of the circular economy is heartening because it helps clearly illustrate an alternative to the current take, make, waste linear economy. But I like the cognitive dissonance of saying reuse is a cornerstone of the circular economy. It's involved in virtually every aspect. Reusability needs to be designed into our durable goods and buildings. And while we wait for that to happen, reuse can provide tangible, immediate, accessible action, and everyone is qualified to participate. Community reuse centers can be important physical outposts of the circular economy where human rights can be supported and issues of social justice and anti-racism are embedded and exemplified. And there's a secret superpower of reuse, and that is the opportunity for social healing, skill building, and personal empowerment. Reuse can support social justice and connection. Reuse centers are an excellent environment for engagement, training, and workforce development. There's something for everyone with regards to the action of reuse, from highly technical problem solving to basic cleaning, sorting, and organizing. In a world where alienation is growing and finding connection is increasingly difficult, the activity of reuse is grossly undervalued as a tool for self-empowerment. So if you Google and watch Adam Grant's TED Talk on peak flow, which I encourage you to do, he wrote it as a result of COVID, the phenomenon of mastery, mindfulness, and mattering that he talks about, why it's so engaging and can be easily translated into the tenets and actions of reuse. And the values of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion are central to our community reuse center model. Currently, our focus is on the inclusivity piece of the JEDI acronym. Although I just learned a lot more earlier today from Adoma at the Center for Biological Diversity about the breadth of justice issues. We do provide avenues for justice and healing, equitable policies, and a diverse workforce and clientele. And inclusion is proving the most complex challenge for us at the moment, but we are doing this work, reviewing how decisions are made in our organization, how we can be sure to include everyone's voice who may be impacted by those decisions. And at the end of the day, or the project, with a sense of accomplishment, mastery, mindfulness, and mattering, you have the opportunity to solve problems together and accomplish something meaningful every day. So then there's the challenge of volume versus value in the materials management world. Reusable materials are only a fraction of the materials management challenge volume-wise, but they're by far the most valuable segment of the waste stream. And disclaimer, this image may not be to scale, but you get the idea. In Tompkins County, another way to look at it, it currently costs $96 a ton to send waste to the landfill that's 40 miles away. Finger Lakes Reuse is demonstrating local revenue generation of $2,000 to $3,000 per ton of used materials instead. And just for context, the current price of steel is currently around $245 a ton. So how much reusable material is out there? As we all know, there's a lot. In our small rural county of 106,000 people, including students, we're doing this in a really big way, and we're really not even close to being done growing. We expect to exceed $2 million in retail sales this year. This shows historical revenues from when we opened in November 2008. The blue line is our earned revenues through merchandise sales, and the gold line is grants and donations and government contracts. So currently 70% of our overall expenses are covered by sales revenues. We've averaged more than 20% growth for the last 5 years, including through COVID. And we opened our first location in a strip mall in 2008 and our second more visible location in 2015. They're both still operating, and you can see how that impacted our business revenues, which doubled over the next 2 years to 2017. and have more than doubled again in the last 4. And I do like to highlight that even though we did receive additional support, including PPP money as a result of the pandemic, the growth in our sales revenues is even steeper than the contributed revenue. Our average transaction at the cash register is $14, and many of our household items are priced $1 to $3, but you can see housewares are a huge portion of our revenues, and lots of opportunity in the other departments as well. We've sold over $700,000 this year. So people talk about supply chain disruption. For us, it's supply chain eruption. It's been a really, really challenging just the last few years, trying to keep up with the volume that's coming at us. And even though we've tried to increase staffing levels to, and stretch to do that as far as our expenses will allow, our sales aren't quite keeping up, but 100% increase in sales revenues over 5 years, 20% a year is still very aggressive retail growth. But wait, there's more coming at us. People are consuming at record levels, and quite honestly, it's daunting. So I'm just going to give you a slideshow of a quick run through of stuff that's around our reuse centers and the people that are helping out. We do deconstruction. Here's a couple exhausted volunteers, product testing. We refurbish computers, licensed Microsoft refurbisher. Here's processing clothes. Here's clothes that aren't yet processed. So books, so lots of media, lots of VHS tapes. There's a huge market for them. We can't keep VCRs in stock. So wrapping up here, I do think that looking to a public-private partnership to get these started up, there's immediate returns to local communities. I believe there should be one in every community. I won't go through each one of these returns on investment, but I would love to partner with anyone who's interested in trying to develop their own set for their own locality. Community reuse is not complicated. It's a little bit complicated, but we have all of the mechanisms in place. They're standard in every community. So to scale it in your community, it requires visible, accessible retail locations with convenient drop-offs, warehouses with loading docks, forklifts, pallets, and gaylords, fair and safe working conditions, which can lead to an engaged and motivated workforce. And we are positioned with the City of Ithaca, which has made some world headlines for electrifying all their buildings. They need a workforce, and we're hoping that our reuse centers will be a platform for people to get engaged in work, find what skill sets they're interested in, what career pathways they're interested in, and really help re-engage a disengaged workforce. Many, many thanks to many of our partners, particularly the Park Foundation, who's been huge throughout our growth, in Tompkins County, who wanted to have a reuse center in our community. So really grateful to be here, and thanks for the opportunity.
That was great, Diane. Thank you so much. What a great presentation. All right, Sarah, you can go ahead and share your slides and get started. Don't forget to unmute. There you go.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Sarah Goff. I'm co-founder and executive director of the Repurpose Project. I've been doing that for 10 years. We've been open 10 years. It's a nonprofit reuse center. And before that, I was on the board of a creative reuse center in South Florida. And what I've learned over the last 15 years is just the incredible volume of reusable material that's not getting reused. It's getting trashed instead because there isn't a good system to keep reusables in our circular economy. So I've been on the front lines, like getting all the emails and all the phone calls about, can you take like 100 desks? Can you take 150 filing cabinets? And it's just really, I didn't realize the extent of it before running this center. But what I really want to talk about today, besides that, is the lack of infrastructure, is that reuse is a climate change solution, and it's really not getting the attention that it deserves. It's a low tech and common sense solution, and it will greatly reduce our CO2 emissions. And it will also address the enormous overconsumption of resources that's destroying our planet. And so we really need these solutions, and reuse is really a huge part of the climate change solution. It also helps a lot of people. It helps people access low-cost material, and that's enormous. It makes our communities stronger because we're less reliant on these outside supply chains. And I've been hearing that, like COVID, we saw these disruptions in the supply chains, and it's pretty substantial, the idea of being able to have access to these materials in our local communities that keep on circling. Okay, so this was when I first started realizing what a big impact consumption had on our CO2 emissions. This was a report done by the EPA in 2006. The numbers are a lot worse now, but it shows you how much of an impact our stuff has on the climate. We don't think about all that goes into making our products, but it's substantial. And I included a link to this at the end in case you want to look at it closer. CO2 emissions are released during the entire supply chain. So like harvesting, mining, manufacturing, packaging, shipping, and waste disposal all has a tremendous impact on our climate, and we don't always necessarily realize this. My slides are taking a minute to change for some reason. Sorry. I don't know why I'm having a problem here. Ugh.
Sarah, there's sometimes a little arrow in the bottom left of your screen. Can you see that? Does that
No,
work?
I don't see it.
There's a little number 3 on the bottom left. There you go. Oh, you just highlighted it.
Oh, I think there's like something in front of that, maybe that.
Yeah, and then you press on that little arrow caret to the right.
Okay. So anyways, sorry about that. We're mining and deforesting our planet to extinction, and we're trashing things faster than ever. So we really need a better system, a circular economy system, to keep things circling, because a lot of energy is used during this process, and we're disrupting these natural systems that we rely on for clean air and clean water. So we cannot tackle the climate change problem without addressing overconsumption. We cannot address overconsumption without an alternative reuse retail system, because people are going to keep on buying things. People keep on needing things. And really what we need is a better system to keep things circling in our local economies that are still good. So the truth of the matter is, I hear all the time that like reuse stores, I have a reuse store, but it's just not big enough. The reuse industry is old. It hasn't changed very much in the last 100 years. So we really need to start rethinking it. And thrift stores, there's not enough of them, and they don't have a variety of stuff. A lot of stuff isn't accepted by traditional thrift stores, like all the building supplies and stuff like that are overlooked. And thrift stores are too small. The average thrift store, the average Goodwill is 7,000 square feet. If you look at modern retail, it's huge. Like a Target's 135,000 square feet. We really need to look at modern retail and adjust our reuse retail to accommodate the volume of stuff that we see. And curb alerts are not enough. You know, I really hope that this rear bumper cover for 2003 Volvo S60 is seen by that person that needs it. But that might just not happen. So we really need a better system. And one of the big barriers is transportation. A lot of things get put on the side of the road because people can't transport them. So we really need better pickup services. and delivery services. You don't go buy a new fridge and the staff person say, here's a piece of twine, hope you can make it home. So we really need a reuse infrastructure boost in order to address all these things. So this is what retail is now. It's really big, it's really convenient. There's lots of them, there's huge parking. And this is what we need to look to when we're building this reuse economy and this reuse infrastructure system. We need these big box thrift stores. We need the convenience. People are used to going to one store and being able to access all the things that they need. We need to think beyond like just the thrift stores with the used clothes and furniture. We need to be addressing all these different types of material, the used building material, all the party supply stuff. We could have a whole party supply store, I'm sure of it, with the amount that we get. So really we need a whole different system, and we really need local governments to step up to this. This is a proposal that I've been sharing with our local county. We spend a lot of money on waste disposal, and we accept this as something that we'll pay a fee to have, and it's a service. And really what I'm proposing here is that we start shifting some of this waste management money and start developing circular economy resource management models. And I also included this link for everybody to see if they want to look at it and maybe pull parts of it that they can implement in their local communities. So this is the organization that I started. I'll talk about it real briefly. I don't know where the time is, but in 2012, I started it trying to address and create this reuse economy that I'm talking about. It's hard to cover all the different things that we have, but we have office and school supplies, get overlooked by traditional retail, party supplies, floral, craft, electronics, and we really started to realize that we're seed material for a lot of the fix-it industry. Local people come and buy things and fix it and resell it. They do the same thing with furniture. And architectural salvage, of course, has a huge volume of material that is in high demand, and it would really have a huge impact too on the CO2 emissions if we're able to capture this and put it back into use instead of just trashing it. So over the 10 years, we have our first store here is 13,000 square feet, and we have a 1 acre salvage yard. It really was a combination of creative reuse and building material. We started seeing how much furniture, cabinets, and appliances were out there. So we just got a second location that's 20,000 square feet to try to address some of these larger items that we didn't have room for. And we're also scaling up our pickups and deliveries and green cleanout services because we see that this is a huge barrier to reuse. So how do we make reuse expansion happen? Advocate for reuse in national bills like Build Back Better and the Green New Deal. So write your Congress people. Advocate for municipal reuse programs in your local communities. Ask for waste management to be allocated to resource management and circular economy programs instead. And just talk and write about how the reuse economy and the necessary infrastructure is an essential climate change strategy because it really isn't getting the attention that it deserves. And social entrepreneurs, we need you. There's so much space to innovate the reuse economy, design an app, open a store, start a clean out business. We need innovation in order to really make this happen. So that's it. Thank you. I put the 3 links on there. I did a TEDx talk about reinventing the reuse economy to fight climate change. So I hope you all will check out those links.
That's great. Thank you, Sarah, for that great presentation. I've pulled out a couple of questions from the chat that we can go through. If each of you want to put your email address or the website of your reuse center, or your organization, if you haven't already, feel free to do that so people can follow up with you. And I think, Heather, there was a question for you. Is anyone working on training fixers, encouraging learning of potential marketable job skills? Thinking of skills like lamp repair, reupholstery, stuff like that. That was a
Yeah,
question for you.
and I didn't get into the details. So there are two different models of fix-it events. One is where everybody's all volunteer and people are being encouraged to learn how to fix their own things. And the other is where you pay stipends to the fixers, and people are also being encouraged, but it is a different model. And that's the model we're doing because we have received grant funding to do this. And we've been working with the housing authorities in different cities and counties to actually do the events at those locations and to provide workforce development opportunities for people who are the residents. And then on the front, and in general, we've been working to do, we also have apprentices. We have apprentice fixers in our system. But really cool, I just found this out yesterday, that we're on our furniture project, we're looking at how we can actually not just do events, but also make it a little bit more pervasive throughout. And there is a place in near Tacoma where they are doing upholstery training, and we're going to be dropping off furniture, having them use our furniture for their training, and then we're going to then take it back and we're going to deliver it to the refugee groups that are serving the refugee families. So I think this, as is pointed out with all three of our talks, this is absolutely a job-oriented thing, I think.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have a question for you, Diane. Do you have thrift shops in your area that compete with you? We have a lot of them, some private and some run by 501c3 organizations like Habitat for Humanity, and others that are both local and national. So other thrift stores in your area and how that works in Ithaca.
Sure, yeah, we've kind of mapped out a reuse trail in our county. There's more than 40 businesses, for-profit, nonprofit, that are selling used materials in Tompkins County. We're one of the largest for sure, but we do not have a Goodwill, but we do have a Salvation Army, and then there's the Thrifty Shopper, which may be more Northeastern, not sure. We have gotten a lot of assistance from an entity called the Cascade Alliance. I think it's cascadealliance.us, and they're helping nonprofits develop waste-based solutions to help create jobs for vulnerable populations. And we met at a conference in Austin, and they said, hey, do you want technical assistance? They were led by a St. Vincent de Paul in Eugene, Oregon. The executive director is Terry McDonald. And they have demonstrated to us, there are, I think they have 14 St. Vincent de Paul stores in and around the city of Eugene that they operate. And in that same market, there are 9 Goodwills. So that's those are 23 superstores in a demographic area that's not, it's, I don't know, 3 to 4 times the size of us. So we can just tell there's lots more room to grow. And I think competition should not be a worry of anybody, because the traditional thrift stores, they do not have waste reduction as part of their mission. We actually, last week, we just got a box truck donation from Salvation Army because they can't handle everything that's coming at us. I saw the truck leave. I was like, what was that? So it's madness out there, but it's invisible.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we have just under 5 minutes. Sarah, somebody just asked, what about your green clean out services? You want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. It's like 1-800-JUNK will come and pick up your junk, and they'll just come and haul it straight to the trash. So we provide that service. We'll come in and take things out of a home or an office or a business, and instead of taking it to the landfill, we'll try to find another place to resell or get it back into the community instead. So it's similar, but instead of just trashing things, we try to put it back into the circular economy.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. This is a question that might be for Diane or Sarah, but do you have resources available to help other communities start new reuse operations? You too as well, Heather. So maybe you could all three address this quickly.
We have an online business plan template. It's a little bit out of date, but it helps. It does. And if you can find it on our website, or you can send me an email and I can share that. Okay,
so Diane has some resources. What about you, Heather and Sarah?
Go first. Yeah, we have a how-to guide for fix-it fairs that we give away for free. So anyone can email us and get that.
Awesome. What about you, Sarah?
You mean helping other places get started? I mean, I've definitely consulted with other people that have contacted me to try to get it started, but not as far as funding.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely difficult. All right. We definitely have time for a couple more questions. Somebody asked me to ask you about the new space, Sarah, and how that is going. Are there a lot of shoppers? Is it well received? What I always communicate to people when they ask me about Gainesville is that we have an immense amount of community support from our city and county commissioners and from the community at large. But how are people doing with the new store? They're shopping there, they're calling, they're emailing. How's it going?
Yeah, no, it's definitely going well. It's really interesting because the Repurpose project has so much stuff and has so many customers, and it's really wild and overwhelming. And this new store is mostly large things, furniture and appliances and cabinets. So people kind of come there, get their thing and leave. So it feels really quiet, but the volume of material that we're able to collect and get back into distribution is substantial for sure. I can see that because we have a storage warehouse that has filled up several times with green cleanouts, and then it goes away. And I'm like, okay, wow. So we are going to start weighing things as it comes in,
Yes.
so that we can track that, because it is like a pretty enormous amount of material that we're diverting. And that store's only been open less than 2 months. So.
Okay, great, good update. Sarah, Diane, Jeremy's interested about illegal dumping. Do you guys see that at your reuse stores?
Of
Diane,
course.
do you want to? Yeah.
People do. We're part of the thing that mitigates that for us is we're open 7 days a week. So usually the reason people drop stuff off is they're frustrated that we're not open, but we are open every day, so that helps a lot.
Sarah, how much do you see at Repurpose Project? And
We do see it, but again, yeah, now we're open 6 days a week, and we don't see it very often. We're open all day. Occasionally we'll see it, but for the most part, people have gotten pretty good because of our hours.
okay, and Heather, I guess they want you to actually share how to do the Fix It Clinic guide. Like, is there a quick link you could put in the chat, or is it more complicated?
I think we do have it linked, but I don't have it handy. So I just ask people to email me. But I did see the question about measuring reuse. And this is actually a really good question, because this is the problem with the greenhouse gas modeling that's going on right now. They're not really doing a good job of looking at consumer products, and they're not looking at a good job at all at looking at the reuse economy and the repair and all that. So that's what we're going to be tackling with our report. And that Reuse Minnesota report that I mentioned did do a very good job of making a first pass and tackling it. So I think that's a very good question. We need to get this quantified so we can get it boosted.
I think that's, that's why I didn't talk too much about it. I think the economic impact is really powerful, and talking about the dollars. And one of the things that we've learned that I think is really critical for people to understand is that the more stuff we put on the shelves, the more people buy. We're getting so much stuff donated to us, and the pinch point is our 80 employees' ability to get it on the shelves. We have a very direct correlation for years and years and years of how much stuff we put on the shelves and then how much our dollar sales are. And if our sales goals are down, it's because our production was down. So there's a huge demand that's untapped as well. And I know that's kind of not quite what you were talking about, but I still think you could entice local communities to do this. And even anyone who's got a nonprofit effort that they want to support, reuse can engage people, it can generate revenue, and it can help you support your cause, like as a sister revenue generator.
Okay, well, I want to thank you all. It's 2:30 now. Heather, Diane, and Sarah, those were all great presentations. As you can tell from the chat, people are really interested. There were some unanswered questions there. If you guys want to answer those directly, you can, or if those of you watching want to email any of these presenters, you guys are welcome to also, or chat them directly. But this was great. I think we could have gone on a lot longer. So reuse is definitely a really important part of zero waste, and one that isn't talked about enough. I think we all agree. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.